There are some pretty nice, good-hearted actors out there, and then there are some mean, difficult, downright rude ones as well. This video will focus on the latter type, and some of the names on this list may surprise you. From a Christmas vacationer to a versatile, ever-changing, morphable method actor or two, these actors are some of the most challenging to work alongside. Sit back, get comfy, and get ready for our list of actors no one wants to work with. 11. William Shatner. Oh, William Shatner. The man who once portrayed Captain Kirk on the beloved Star Trek series has certainly had a colorful career. Prior to starring in the hit show loved by millions, his acting credits were building with movies and TV shows, but it was Star Trek that brought him into the spotlight. Following the cancellation of the show, he continued getting parts, but his career eventually slowed down for a while. He's seen a resurgence in the last few decades, but that doesn't mean he's an easy actor to work with. According to some of his Trek castmates, he's kind of an attention hog and would do things like steal the lines of others, act jealous if anyone outshined him, and constantly make himself the center of attention. Now, he's pretty much known as the guy from the Priceline commercials, and you know that has to be a blow to his big ego. 10. Shia LaBeouf. Once upon a time, not too long ago, Shia LaBeouf's star was on the rise, and it seemed like nobody in Hollywood would be able to stop him. Technically, nobody else stopped him in his tracks because he managed to do it himself. The Even Stevens and Transformer star got movie after movie, and even got to act with Harrison Ford, portraying the son of Indiana Jones. The big problem is, in recent years, it's been reported that LaBeouf is challenging to work with, not only because he considers himself a method actor, but because he's apparently got a testy temper too. He had a feud that played out before the public with Alec Baldwin, another not so easy to work with actor. He reportedly fought Tom Hardy off the set of Lawless, the Tom Hardy who looks like he could break LaBeouf. Despite his immense talent, these days he's not exactly the guy directors and execs want to work with. 9. Chevy Chase. Oh boy, Chevy Chase is one of the biggest, most well-known comedians from about the 1970s and on, and he's arguably one of the best comedic actors of all time. But that doesn't mean that he's easy to work with. He started out with a few shorts, and then made the cast of Saturday Night Live in its debut season in 1975, and even way back when, he was known to be difficult. When he left the show after just a year, none of his castmates minded much, considering it's been reported that he would antagonize and be rude even to them. When he showed up in Caddyshack, he found himself acting with Bill Murray yet again, a guy he's had a feud with over the years. There were even reports of some physical altercations between the two, but this is all made for a genuinely excellent, awkward scene between their two characters. Many actors have spoken out about his cold, rude demeanor, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens to him in the future. It kind of stinks to find out old Sparky is a big old jerk, doesn't it? Such a shame. 8. Charlie Sheen. Is this supposed to surprise anyone? It's Charlie Sheen, the guy who's known for his antics and craziness and partying and... do we go on? Back in the day, Sheen was a pretty hot commodity and appeared in many things starting in the mid-70s, but it wasn't until the mid-80s that his career really took off. He managed to keep a steady career from then on out, and eventually landed the starring role as funny man Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men. By this time, Sheen's behavior was well established, and even began catching up with him. Who wants to work with an unpredictable, sometimes angry, and crazy drug addict? He was eventually forced from his sitcom, and is now more of a legend for his wild behavior than for his acting. He is reportedly sober now. 7. Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal rose to fame back in the 1990s after he moved to Los Angeles from Japan, where he had studied Aikido, a popular Japanese martial art. When he arrived in LA, he got a gig training actors in the art for films, and he once accidentally broke the wrist of Sean Connery. He then went on to star in action films himself, and became an action star for a relatively short amount of time. His most famous movie, Under Siege, was a fairly decent box office success, but it didn't help his career all that much. Seagal is known for being a rough character and not all that pleasant to work with. Over the years, stories have come to light of physical, mental, and other kinds of abuse to cast members and others by Seagal, which haven't left him with the best reputation. Pair that with his subpar, hokey acting, and you've got a guy not many people want to work with these days. 6. Bruce Willis. Here we are with another action star, Bruce Willis is well known for his hardened image and his excellent action movies. But did you know he started his career as more of a comedic actor? It was Die Hard, the classic Christmas shootout film, that helped him break into the fast-paced, guns-blazing realm of action. He managed to become a massive name in Hollywood in the 90s, with sequels to Die Hard and movies like The Sixth Sense, The Fifth Element, and Armageddon. He also threw in some comedies in that time period as well. But in his later years, his reputation of being somewhat difficult to work with began to come to light, with director Kevin Smith even saying working with Willis was soul-crushing. He's had feuds with many over the years, including but not limited to Sylvester Stallone, Michael Bay, and Sybil Shepherd. We sure do wonder what happened to his career. 5. Edward Norton. This one is sad, considering he's such an incredibly talented actor. Edward Norton, the guy from such movies as Fight Club, Primal Fear, American History X, and Birdman, is and has been for a long time, reportedly a big old jerk. One big problem with him, he's supposedly a major control freak, and tries to control a lot of the projects he decides to do. That doesn't sound so bad because he is an artist after all, but he seems to forget that directing a lot of these films isn't his job. He seems to step on toes everywhere he goes, like the time he starred in The Incredible Hulk. He was reportedly a scriptwriter on the movie, although uncredited, and controlling throughout the process of making the film, so he was recast for the Avengers movie and left behind in the dust. He's talented, but he doesn't get many roles anymore. We wonder why. 4. Dustin Hoffman. Much like Edward Norton, Dustin Hoffman is reportedly a perfectionist and insists on doing things the way he sees them being done. The actor shot up to fame way back in 1967 with The Graduate, but that was nowhere near his first acting gig. Hoffman had been a stage actor for some time before the role came along, and even tried to suppress his own fame following the critically acclaimed movie. He turned down multiple roles and directors in order to ensure his star wouldn't get too big. However, not long after, he got a bunch of parts in successful films, and his star became bright anyway. It's been said that Hoffman can be difficult and a chore to work with, as his perfectionism got in the way of rationality. He would apparently demand scenes be reshot if he didn't like them, and there were shouting matches between him and director Sydney Pollack, which is pretty common knowledge. He's a great actor, but even the greats can lose respect by being difficult to work with. 3. Russell Crowe. Good old Rusty has starred in and made appearances in a slew of great movies since he began acting way back in the 1970s. Think A Beautiful Mind, Gladiator, and Les Miserables. But the New Zealander is pretty notorious for not being the nicest guy in the business, although it hasn't seemed to have affected his career all that much. He once reportedly called producer Branko Lustig in the dead of night and said some not so very nice things. He's belittled interviewers, had outbursts, and supposedly gotten into spats on set. However, there's no tangible proof to back up the claims. He did once treat a new interviewer terribly on the red carpet of a movie premiere, an interviewer who just so happened to be a young Juliana Rancic. She opened up about it and let it be known that Crowe was her meanest celebrity interviewer ever. 2. Alec Baldwin. Well, this is no big surprise to anybody. Alec Baldwin has made headlines for what seems like forever, for being quite the mean guy. He's another one of those celebs that seems to survive their bad reputation and continue to get work though. He's done many things off set that should have derailed his career, like freaking out on a flight attendant when she asked him to shut off his phone, or the time he threw insults at a photographer and hit another, or when he told a reporter he'd like to choke her and hit another reporter with his bike. Maybe the drunken voicemail he left for his young daughter comes to mind. He's also reported to be pretty bad on the set as well. While filming 30 Rock, he would complain about pointless things, yell and berate the cast and crew, and show up late without a care in the world. He's hard to work with, and many don't like him. So how has he survived so long? We've seen a lot of difficult, tough to work with actors so far, and we still have one more to go. But first, we'd like to ask, who's an actor not on this list that you feel like could be a jerk in person? Are there any that you know of that we've missed? Let us know in the comments below so we can consider them for future videos. 1. Daniel Day-Lewis. We're just going to say that Daniel Day-Lewis is without a doubt one of the greatest method actors of all time. We also know that some people can't stand method actors because, well, they can't leave their work at work. DayLewis has garnered a reputation as somewhat difficult to work with due to his dedication. Like the time he portrayed a disabled man in My Left Foot. It's been said that he wouldn't leave his wheelchair throughout the entirety of filming, thus making the crew carry him around the set when he was needed. He also angered Liam Neeson while filming Gangs of New York, when he referred to Neeson by his character's name when the cameras were rolling and when they weren't. There are other crazy stories about his methods out there, and we'd suggest you look into them, because they sure are interesting. If this video enlightened you on some of the more difficult actors in Hollywood, do us a favor and give it a like. Subscribe to our channel below, or by clicking on our logo right here, so you can always keep up with our excellent content. And be sure to check out this next video we know you're going to love.